What's going on, family? This is Nathan Gorham with the Gorham Companies, and I wanted to send a message, or I wanted to record a video talking a little bit about managing contractors, because I know that that's a big thing that people are a little bit fearful of, and may not be used to doing it. But I wanted to give a couple quick tips. This is not going to be the full kit and caboodle of how to manage a subcontractor or a contractor, but I wanted to give a few quick tips. And the rest I'll probably put into some sort of webinar or course that you can take a look at and get a really, really more robust explanation on how to handle subcontractors. But one thing is the big three in managing contractors is scope, schedule, and budget. And I wanted to talk a little bit about scope today because the scope of the job is one of the most important things that you can have ironed out with a contractor that will save both of you all a lot of heartache. And the thing that I want to stress is not just to think about the actual job that the contractor is doing, but to also think about what I call the context of that job. So, for instance, you have a contractor, you've got a broken pipe in the wall, okay? You go out and you find a plumber, as you should, to repair the pipe. Something that you need to think about, of course, is how the plumber is going to get into the wall to repair the pipe, okay? And then everything that's required regarding them getting into the wall. So they've got to do demolition, right? They've got to cut into the wall. Where do you want them to make the cuts? Because do you want them to cut into something that's hard to replace, like a wood panel or tile, or would you rather them cut into a place where you may have a little bit less difficulty having them to replace, like in the drywall? So you might want to specify, like, I want you to go into the wall here and not over here to try to replace the pipe. Uh, who's going to be responsible for doing that? Okay. Then after they demo the wall, there's going to be trash and debris that they're going to generate. I want you to remove the trash and all the debris that you generate from demoing the pipe. You need to put that into your scope. You need to write this down so that they know when they price up this job that not only do they have to think about the repair that they're going to make, but they also have to think about the demolition that's involved, removing all the debris. Um, and once they have the repair complete, you need to think about, okay, now I have to repair this wall. Okay, so will I have framing? Will I have drywall? Will I have to paint? All the things that are involved in repairing the wall, that's what I call the context of the repair itself. The repair might be a quick, 1 day thing, but everything around the repair requires time and requires thought and requires for you to kind of map everything out. And so one of the things that you can do to save yourself a lot of heartache is write down everything that's going to be required when making that repair, and make sure that you have somebody assigned, some contractor assigned to that task if you're not going to be able to do it. So picking up materials from Home Depot or from whatever hardware store that you select, you need to have somebody responsible for picking up the material. You may pay for it online, but who's going to pick it up and who's going to bring it to the job site? Who's going to take the trash from the job site to the dump? How well does it need to be cleaned? You need to be really crystal clear with your contractor. Like, these are my expectations and this is what I want. And until the contractor is done, I mean finito done, I mean done where every little speck is removed to your satisfaction, you do not pay them the final draw. I've had instances where I have paid contractors. They called me up, they said they're done. I was so busy, I was like, all right, fine. I just sent them the money. Then I go 2 days later and take a look at the job, or the tenant calls me up and says, oh, there's trash all over the place. And I'm like, well, I've just paid this person the money. Now I have to try to lean on the contractor to come and clean up after they've already been paid. And I'm telling you from experience, it is a lot more difficult to get a contractor to come back after they've been paid than it is for them to do the job in order to get the payment. Okay? So these are some things to think about when you are looking at the scope of the job. Everything that's going to be required to get into the job, to remove from the job, to get the materials to the job, to remove materials and take them to the dump. And then another thing that you should think about as well is when you open up that wall for that pipe repair, You may be in a situation where you're dealing with an older house that has lead paint or some hazardous materials or something like that. So these are things that you also need to think about and be prepared to address with your scope. Okay, and make sure that you're prepared to address them. If you have a tenant living in the place, make sure that you're prepared to address them with the tenant. Okay, so I just wanted to give you guys a couple of quick hits regarding managing contractors, because I know that's a big thing with real estate investors. And again, scope, schedule, budget. The biggest thing that you can do to set yourself up for success is write that scope down and go through every step in the process and make sure that somebody is assigned to all the tasks that are involved.